Now I really want Star Trek to do a series like Marvel's What If. Marvel's What If animated series cracked open a multiverse of imagination, showing fans alternate timelines where a single choice could rewrite the fate of iconic heroes. Watching it, I couldn't help but think Star Trek is tailor made for the same treatment. For nearly 60 years, Trek has played with time travel, mirror universes, and alternate realities. But those stories have always been rare one offs. A full anthology series built entirely around what if questions could be one of the boldest and most fun directions the franchise has ever taken. After all, Star Trek has already dipped its toes in the idea. The Mirror Universe episodes, from Kirk's infamous goatee wearing doppelganger in the original series to Deep Space Nine's sprawling arc, are basically proto what if adventures. Likewise, episodes like yesterday's Enterprise The Next Generation or Year of Hell Voyager show how small changes can ripple across the galaxy. If Marvel can lean into alternate realities and still make them canon adjacent, why can't Star Trek? Imagine the possibilities. What if Captain Kirk never returned from the Nexus? In Star Trek Generations, Captain Kirk dies, helping Picard save the universe. But what if he had chosen to stay inside the Nexus, content to live out a fantasy life with no responsibilities? Would Picard have failed to stop Sauron, leaving the galaxy to chaos? Or maybe Kirk's refusal to leave inspires Picard to stay as well, changing history forever. We could see a timeline where the Enterprise D is destroyed, and the Federation never recovers from Sauron's destruction of stars. It's a haunting twist on one of the most debated endings in Trek history. What if Spock chose logic over friendship? Spock's character arc is built on his push and pull between Vulcan logic and human emotion. But imagine a universe where he never gave in to friendship, never let Kirk and McCoy into his life. Without Spock's loyalty, Kirk's missions might have turned disastrous. The Federation could have lost countless encounters with Klingons and Romulans. Worse yet, Spock himself might have risen as a coldly logical figure who saw the Federation as a flawed experiment, maybe even aligned with Vulcan separatists. It's not hard to picture a timeline where Spock becomes the franchise's greatest villain. What if the Borg won at Wolf 359? One of the Next Generation's darkest moments came when Captain Picard, assimilated as Locutus, led the Borg in a devastating attack on Starfleet at Wolf 359. But in our timeline, the Borg were defeated, barely. Imagine instead that they won. Earth assimilated. The Federation destroyed. Perhaps only a ragtag fleet of survivors remains, led by figures like Benjamin Sisko or Captain Janeway, trying to mount a rebellion against the collective. This would let Star Trek explore a darker, resistance-style universe where survival, not diplomacy, is the priority. It would be bleak, but undeniably compelling. What if Janeway never returned from the Delta Quadrant? Voyager's finale gave Captain Janeway and her crew a triumphant return home after 7 long years. But what if she never made it back? What if Voyager remained stranded in the Delta Quadrant, forced to build alliances and perhaps even create a permanent Federation colony light years from Earth? Over decades, Voyager's crew could have become the founders of a new Delta Federation, forever separated from their people but carrying Starfleet's ideals into an unfamiliar region. It's a bittersweet idea, but one with huge storytelling potential. What if Sisko never returned from the Prophets? Deep Space Nine ended with Captain Sisko joining the Prophets, leaving behind his family and friends with only a promise to return. What if he never did? How would his absence change Bajor's fate? Would Kira Nerys, now a commanding figure, struggle with the burden of guiding Bajor without her mentor? Would Jake Sisko grow resentful of the Prophets, perhaps even turning against the spiritual path that defined his father's life? This version of the story could push DS9's themes of faith, destiny, and loss to even deeper levels. Why this would work? Star Trek What If? Anthology could function as both a love letter to longtime fans and a great entry point for newcomers. For fans, it scratches the itch of exploring alternate takes on iconic characters, something Trek has always excelled at in small doses. For new viewers, it offers self-contained stories that don't require encyclopedic knowledge of the canon. Like Marvel series, Trek could use animation to explore these wild scenarios without worrying about budget or actor availability. Imagine revisiting classic crews in stylized animation, voiced either by the surviving cast members or new performers who can capture the spirit of the originals. It would also allow the show to move fluidly across eras, jumping from Kirk's Enterprise to Discovery's 32nd century in a single season. And let's be honest, Trek fans already love debating what if scenarios. Entire